Brilliant to welcome this guest back onto the channel. Championship expert, all-round excellent knowledge of football. Benjamin Bloom from the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Happy New Year. Great to see you again, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, you kind of don't need me anymore. You got yourself promoted, didn't you? So it's like, okay, we're done with him. But you have a championship opponent this week, don't you?
We certainly do, and who knows what's going to happen come May. We might still be in the Premier League. We might be returning to the Championship, but that's for another day because this weekend, League football is paused for some football teams and Cup football is in. FA Cup third round and AFC Bournemouth take on Burnley at home. And yes, that's why we've got Benjamin Bloom here because we want to talk a little bit about Burnley. But both teams, Ben, different leagues at the moment, different form. Different situations. One's flying high in very good form. One's struggling to keep their head above the relegation zone in the Premier League. This makes an interesting tie for a cup game in the FA Cup.
Absolutely, it does. It's I define a cup upset, and we'll go to whether we think we might get one as a team in a lower division beating a team in a higher division. Normally, it helps if it's away from home that the underdog is playing as well. They're always the best cup upsets, and it always helps when the team in the lower division is full of confidence and in really good form, and the team in the higher division is maybe there for the taking and struggling with their confidence, despite obviously having better players and resources at their hands. So it does play into quite a few of those cup set narratives, doesn't it?
It does, worryingly. But let's talk about Burnley then. First in the Championship, top goal scorers in that league. Form, I think, is unbeaten in 6 in the league. Just a 1 loss in current form in all competitions against Manchester United in the EFL Cup. This Burnley team, they don't look very boring nowadays. Would that be correct?
No, they're really good, actually. Yeah, so I did. So the first game of the season is always good if you cover the Championship because the Premier League hasn't come back and they give you a Friday night TV game. So I went up to Huddersfield, who just lost in the playoff final, and their first game was against Burnley. And we all kind of twigged after about 20, 25 minutes, what is going on? Who are these people in these Burnley shirts? Because look, Sean Dyche was brilliant, obviously. You look at everything he did at Burnley, and when you compare it to the money they spent to what they did, he did an incredible job. But it was a type of football that was very different to what I was seeing. And it kind of clicked, but half of your brain is going, it's in Swansea, kind of try this, and a bit fluffy, and sometimes they look amazing and sometimes they don't. And you guys, there were similar criticisms made of Scott Parker at Fulham and at Bournemouth as well, is passing around and it looks very nice. Is it going to really be a winning formula? But Burnley have sort of improved from that very impressive start and this sort of shocking change in style. And one thing I would say, Kirk, is they're very good. It's difficult to tell, and you Bournemouth fans will be able to empathise 100%. It's difficult to tell how good they are because very much like last season where Bournemouth and Fulham, were sort of cut above, weren't they? And then you got Forest Chase. Huddersfield went on that big unbeaten run. I'm finding it hard to tell how good Burnley are because the first half of the season, the chase in the playoffs has been quite slow, but they've been excellent and they're deservedly top of the table at this point.
Currently managed head coach, not sure what his full title is at Burnley, by Vincent Kompany. And this is a guy that has come out of the game successfully, had a very good career with Manchester City, went to Anderlecht, a club I think he knew very well, had 90 games there. I think it's a bit of a mixed bag from what I've seen at his time in Belgium. And then he's gone for that chance that was given to him at Burnley in the Championship. And we know, as Bournemouth fans, we know that you've got a very good chance of maybe going straight back to the Premier League with those parachute payments, maybe keeping hold of some of those Premier League players. So he would have seen this as a great opportunity. But I also see Kompany taking a very good step in his career path to build that profile that wherever he wants to go to. And looking at their team, Ben, they look like they're a formation of a 4-2-3-1. You can maybe tell me more. Rodriguez is their top goal scorer. I think Brownhill's the creation of the team, but it does look like a team that's got goals all around it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I did the research on Kompany and Anderlecht, and yeah, you kind of looked at it and you thought he's actually done quite well to get this job because, Anderlecht is, we need to, I'm sure none of us are that great or experts on Belgian football, but they are giants when it comes to Belgium. And the expectation is, they either win the league or nearly win the league. And I don't think they were that close, to be honest. So I think it was, because I totally agree with you, that in some ways, would you rather have the Everton job and struggle and, okay, you're one of the best 20 managers in the country or whatever, or would you rather have a parachute job and get some momentum, get a winning mentality and have a run at the Premier League? And as you guys have proven, a bit of momentum, you can get some results in the first half of a season, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, this could happen. You can stay in there. But yeah, so the company thing was, I was 50-50 on it. He's completely proven me any doubts gone, because they've been great. Yes, 4-2-3-1. Look out for Martson and Roberts. This is assuming that they're going to go at it. Because if I were Burnley, I'd be like, well, we're well clear. Unless we collapse like Devon Lock, we're going up. And this is a chance to grade yourself against the Premier League team. So I'd be taking this properly seriously and playing the first team. And Bournemouth have kind of got nothing to gain or lose, really. It's all about survival. So if I were Burnley, I would play the first team. And yeah, you're right. It's down the sides, though. Brownhill, you mentioned, is more a sort of a joining in factor. You've got to look out for Benson, Teller. They've got about 4 good wingers. Zaruri, who was at the World Cup as well. So that's the threat. It's down the sides. It won't be creating from centrally. But yeah, they move the ball nicely. That it's not, like you would maybe accuse of Swansea, or maybe Scott Parker at his worst, where it's being circulated and it's kind of, okay, I'll get it, but, the other team's watching us do this and they're all in formation. And so it's not like that. And I think they will upgrade up top, because I'm a big fan of Rodriguez, and at championship level still, I know he's getting on in years now, he'll do you a job. But I think, like you've got Solanke on the wall behind you. That's a player where you think, okay, he'll do a job, but if you go up, stick with him in the Premier League. And, so I think that will get upgraded. But yeah, good side, move the ball nicely, main threat down the sides, fullbacks forward, and inside forwards narrow, doing the damage.
Any weaknesses in this Burnley team that you've seen in the Championship so far?
Not really. No, not as you can imagine. They sold well in summer, so I have a lot of conversations, as you do with very defensive fans when their team's got parachute payments. You try and explain, look, don't do this. You don't really want to do this. Just enjoy winning, all right. But they argue, oh well, we sold loads of players, so we're not really using them. What's paying your wages? Is my argument. But there are a lot of new players in there, as opposed to a Danjuma or a Solanke who comes down and then just Billing or whatever just bosses it in the Championship. So they brought in a lot of players from Belgium. The weakness earlier in the season was they were taking the leading games and drawing loads of them, but that got ironed out as you've done your research around November, and win. Since then, obviously, playing against Bournemouth is an entirely higher standard of player than playing against, which team am I going to get accused of disrespecting now? Blackpool, and if any Blackpool fans get upset about that, then that's on them, because it's just the truth. But no, they've just been dominating in the Championship. So if they have got weaknesses, we're going to find them out when they play against your caliber of player.
I'm not sure how many Blackpool fans will check out this video, but Josh Boda, I think, has just re-signed for them. So maybe they'll be okay
Kirk,
with it.
You've got to put the caveat in. You'll always as you know very well, you'll always upset somebody. Do you know what? Can I just say quickly? I did a Who's Going Down from the video, from the Championship video the other day. I had a comment from a Hull fan. I can't believe you discussed us. I'm like, I said you were going to stay up. What was I supposed to do? Not mention you? So even by mentioning someone, you upset them. Anyway, continue.
You spoke about Bournemouth there, probably having nothing to lose. And our priority this season absolutely would be finish 17th. It's been a busy season again for AFC Bournemouth. We've had a change of manager, head coach. We've had a new takeover, and we've got Gary O'Neill now in permanent role, head coach. And since the World Cup, and we've returned to football, we can't find the back of the net. We're struggling to pick up points. We're struggling to pick up a performance to be proud of. Actually, we're out of games before we get going. I actually think this is a big weekend for Gary O'Neill, and I'm not even sure if a tactical, technical battle against Kompany is what he needs right now. And I'm worried. I'm not going to lie, Ben. I'm going to be honest. We're always honest on this channel. And I actually think that maybe Gary O'Neill needs to go strong. Now, as an outsider, because we get very caught up being inside the bubble, as an outsider, how are you seeing it?
I mean, I would totally bow to your superior knowledge on it. But yeah, what you say makes some sense. If you're Gary O'Neill and you're kind of unproven, and there's a bit of similarity with the team I support, Ipswich, where Paul Cook got hired and then a takeover happened. And the owners were quite clever because they said, well, we're going to go with the manager, but then you've always got in your back pocket, well, you know, we went with him. He wasn't really our guy in the first place, so we're going to change him. So it's quite a strong position for your new owners to be in, because on the one hand, they're backing the guy that was in the club before they arrived, and on the other hand, they can say at any point, look, you know, we gave him a go. That was very benevolent of us, wasn't it? But you know, here comes whoever. Sean Dyche, there you go. You mentioned him earlier, and I don't know how well that goes with Bournemouth fans. But so I agree with you that if you're struggling and you're a new manager in the job and you've got a seeming advantage in quality in a game, then there's probably quite a lot to gain from going fairly strong. And it's a home game as well, and you know, going and getting the win. The problem is that everyone will make their opinion retrospectively, which is totally unfair on Gary O'Neill. But if he goes strong and doesn't win, he's an idiot. If he goes strong and your best player gets injured, he's an idiot. Yeah. Whereas if he goes strong and it all works out, great. And, you know, what's the next league game after?
Brentford away.
Ooh,
and
interesting.
then Forest at home, which is why I think this is a massive weekend, because we are low in confidence and we need to find something from somewhere. But I agree with you that it's a cup game. It's not a priority for us. The likelihood of us winning this cup competition, well, is pretty much 0.01.
But it's the likelihood of sorry, Kirk. The likelihood of Bournemouth winning the FA Cup is higher than the likelihood of Burnley winning the FA Cup. Is all I would say in that regard.
But I think we need something from this weekend to take to a very good Brentford side, because
and the playoff opponents as well.
Yes,
back 2 seasons ago. Yeah.
So it's a difficult decision that Gary O'Neill and the team have got to make this weekend, because I think in different circumstances, in different form, I think we might have seen a few changes. I mean, you'll know the likes of Jamal Lowe, Sariki Dembele, Joe Rothwell's not really played, Emi Marcondes, and I'm half expecting, Ben, some of these players may drop down in this transfer window on loans, etc., or sales. And would you be agreeing with that statement as well? That, I mean, do you try and get some time into them to maybe show that they're still worth their value, to try and offload them? It's a really difficult act and a balancing act that Gary O'Neill's got to play.
Yeah, I'd avoid doing that if I were him. I mean, if they were in his first team plans, they would be in his first team plans already, wouldn't they? And again, it's egg on your face. You can, unless you literally come out before, which fans really hate, and I understand, and say, look, my priority is Brentford in the next game. I'm going to play the reserves. And managers have done that before and got in hot water with the fans, because they're like, well, I've got no money. My electricity bill is massively high. Why should I bother coming? Do you know what I mean? If you're going to say that, even though it's possibly the right thing for the club to try and, you know, can you not lose and get 3 or 4 points from Brentford and Forest? I'm sure all the Bournemouth fans would swap that for a 3-0 defeat, Bournemouth reserves against Burnley, wouldn't they? So very, very tricky one with the fringe players. It's that Jamal Lowe's going to be sought after in the Championship. Marcondes, maybe someone would take him as a kind of clutch player, as they'd say in American sport, if they're higher up in the Championship. And Dembele as well be decent at that. He's barely kicked the ball for you guys, hasn't he? So
yeah, he's had a few minutes of late, comes on really late in games and actually has an impact, but he's struggling to be part of Gary O'Neill's main plans. And I actually like Dembele. I just don't think we set up to play to his strengths. And
no.
yeah, I think Dembele will still be part of this team. I think the likes of Jamal Lowe, the likes of Marcondes, I think there's massive question marks in whether there'll be a Bournemouth player at the end of January.
Yeah, Jamal Lowe could almost go back. There's big back and forth at Swansea, and he could almost go straight back to Swansea, couldn't he, on loan or something in that respect. So, yeah, I agree. I would go, if not A, I would go, 1A, and halfway between a strong 6 or 7 big players and a few key players in as well, I think.
So the history between the teams, there is a little bit of history there actually in the Premier League. There's a few VAR moments as well that Bournemouth fans will always reflect on. Although 2 years ago, nearly exactly 2 years ago, AFC Bournemouth beat Burnley at Turf Moor in the FA Cup 2-0. So there is a little bit of history between the teams. And I think it's a big weekend for both football teams. I think the pressure's off Burnley a little bit more than Bournemouth. And I think, as I said, Gary O'Neill needs something from this game. I'm coming to a score prediction and a prediction for this game from you in a moment. Ben, have you covered this FA Cup weekend? Because I'll place details in the description. Check out Ben's YouTube channel. Great stuff. Yeah, tell us if you've got some stuff lined up.
It's a big spoiler alert because I've done a top 10 potential FA Cup shocks, and this game may feature somewhere in that top 10. I'll say no more, but Benjamin Bloom football channel to see where this game did indeed feature.
Yeah, that will definitely be in the description below. Go and check out Ben's stuff on YouTube. Right, have you got a score prediction for Bournemouth Burnley in the FA Cup third round?
So can I kind of go in 2 parts? If Gary O'Neill goes strong and, plays a first 11 and says, I want momentum, I think it's, possibly, because I think it'd be really open if he does that as well, because Burnley, so it's possibly Bournemouth by 1 or 2. I think if he does anything less than that, we might be in for a cup set, and it might be Burnley by 1. So it really depends. I suspect Burnley will go strong. I just don't see the point. It's the most obvious team talk in the world. You're top of the Championship. Show me that you want to be in the team next year. Because, by the way, we'll bring in new players with our 180 million quid TV money if you don't perform in this game. So I think that's the Burnley side of it. So, yeah, is that fair to go down the middle like that?
Yeah, I think it's finally balanced this weekend. I think we need something to take to Brentford. Anything in confidence, in the way we play, possession, form, anything we can grab that give us some sort of hope. So I'm going to be the optimistic Bournemouth fan that I always am. I'll go for a 2-1 win. We haven't found the net in 4 games, so we're due a goal. And let's hope Burnley have a bit of an off day. But again, they might just think, there's nothing to lose. We'll just have a go at this. And they have a pretty good record at the Vitality Stadium, so that doesn't help my cause. Ben, great to speak to you. Thanks for coming on. We'll always check out your stuff. And look, we might see you next season. I hope we don't in regards to Championship football, although I love the Championship. But thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks for checking out this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out Benjamin Bloom football channel, and we will see you on the next preview. Up the cherries.